Introduction. The veil of flesh and letter. There comes a moment in every seeker's path when the stories once held sacred begin to stretch under the weight of deeper questions. Not because they are false, but because they are incomplete when taken at face value. There is a fire beneath the ink, a voice behind the parchment. That voice does not shout from pulpits or doctrines. It speaks in silence through symbols from spirit to spirit. This work does not reject scripture, it resurrects it. The Old Testament is not a timeline of events or a rule book from heaven. It is a cipher, a collection of encoded truths buried within allegory, preserved in parable and veiled by metaphor. It was never meant to be read with eyes alone, but with inner sight. To the literal reader, the text speaks of gardens, giants, floods, and wrath. To the awakened soul, it speaks of consciousness, energy, and divine design. What has long been misunderstood as myth or moral tale is, in truth, a hidden map, one that traces the descent of spirit into matter and the long journey back to remembrance. You were likely taught that God made a man from dirt, placed him in a paradise, and cursed all humanity when a woman ate of fruit. You may have heard sermons about talking snakes, fire from heaven, or a global flood that wiped out all but a boat of survivors. But these were not written for the outer ear. They were crafted for the inner one. Eden is not a place. It is a state of consciousness, unified, undivided, whole. Adam is not a man, he is the first thought of awakened awareness. Eve is not his lesser, she is intuition, curiosity, the breath of seeking. The serpent is not evil, it is energy, coiled, potent, divine. And the ark, it is not a wooden boat, it is the preserved divine mind afloat upon the flood of illusion, carrying the essence of truth through emotional chaos. The animals entering two by two are not literal creatures, but inner polarities, instincts, emotions, patterns brought into harmony and preserved through higher awareness. These interpretations are not inventions. They are recoveries, mystics across millennia. The Kabbalists, the Sufis, the Gnostics, the sages have seen the same symbols and whispered their meanings behind temple doors and sacred texts. And these symbols are not unique to the Bible. They echo in the temples of Kemet, the glyphs of Nubia, and the rituals of Mesopotamia long before Genesis was ever written. The truths it hints at were known not as doctrine, but as divine memory. This work begins with scripture, but reaches deeper into the timeless source that all sacred texts attempt to name. But the time for whispering is over. The time for decoding has come. This book is written not for the faithful, but for the awakened, not for the devout, but for the disturbed, not for the ones who believe, but for the ones who remember. The veil of flesh is the ego, the conditioned self that clings to identity, to story, to tribe. It is the part of us that wants a God who chips is like man, wrathful, jealous, tribal, and prone to punish. That is not God, that is projection. The veil of letter is literalism, the obsession with the text itself instead of the life within it. It reduces revelation to rules, wisdom to warnings, and divine insight to human history. It says, believe this happened, rather than asking, what truth does this reveal? Paul wrote the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Yet few dare to apply that to the entirety of Scripture. Few are willing to step beyond the words to find the word, the living fire that cannot be inked, only awakened. If you find yourself already resisting these thoughts, close this book, return to comfort. That is not judgment, it is mercy. This book will disturb your peace before it grants it. It will tear down before it rebuilds. But if you have always sensed that there was something more, if the stories have never quite fit the God you feel inside. If belief has grown thin and truth burns brighter, then read on. You are Adam, forgetting the divine spark within you. You are Eve, longing to know. You are Cain, torn between pride and offering. You are Noah, preserving your light. You are Abraham, called to leave all that is familiar. You are Moses, hearing the voice from the fire. You are Israel, wandering between bondage and becoming. You are David, facing illusions too large to conquer. You are Job, shattered to be remade. You are Ezekiel, watching dry bones rise. These stories are not history, they are prophecy. They are not about them, they are about you. Each tale is a phase of your soul's evolution. Each character a face of your own reflection. The Bible is not merely a book, it is a mirror, a maze, and a map. Let us walk together through its shadow paths, not with belief, but with knowing, not in fear, but in light. Not to recite what has been said, but to reclaim what has been hidden, because the word